Hello there, and welcome back. And we're back here really for, I suppose, a bit of a wrap up for the day. And what a great day it is. Here we are, the first conclave that we had for 2021 of the ABLF series. So it's really, really exciting to come to the end of the day. And Resham joins me now. Resham, great to see you. And here, you and I get to talk a little bit now.
Yes, absolutely. I've been waiting to have my go with you to actually get to talk about these sessions with these brilliant speakers. So thank you, and lovely to be here at the first ABLF City of 2021.
Yeah, and we've just got, you know, these monthly sessions planned throughout the year. So I think it's going to be really dynamic. It's going to be very exciting. And I know that Melanie and the team have, you know, they've got a great lineup of wonderful speakers ahead for us too. So we're always going to be interested, and even from our audience, you know, who do you want to hear from? What do you want us to talk about? So we're very much open to that. But Resham, talk to me about, you know, what were the highlights of the day for you in terms of who you were talking to?
So I think highlights for three different reasons. I had three brilliant sessions. So the first one was with this incredible woman who's had such a stellar career so far, Alicia Mupin, and she's been recognized by the World Economic Forum as a young global leader. She's doing amazing work in healthcare. So hearing from her about tech in particular and the innovations that are going to more equality in terms of health outcomes, but also health inputs. So hearing about how medical education with things like AR and VR are going to mean that, and robotics could mean that you have surgeons in one country operating in another. You could have people who might not normally be able to afford medical education being able to actually come forward, gain that education and go into life-saving work. You know, we could be having the creators of the next pandemic's vaccine educated by AR and VR, which I think is just so fascinating. And then on that theme of technology, I got to speak to Gaurav Gupta, who has been elevated to the status of co-founder of Zomato. And, you know, it's incredibly rare for someone to join a startup and actually to be recognized for that commitment and their minds, their ethos, that whole philosophy around being an entrepreneur. So actually hearing about how they're using data and technology to react in a pandemic to make sure they remain consumer centric and you know, can deliver food parcels to people who desperately need it was amazing. And then just an absolute highlight to hear as an economist myself from Dr. Aditya Matu, chief economist at the World Bank. And what I thought was really interesting is he ended his session talking about how we need international cooperation to make sure we keep growing the cake, you know, making sure that everybody benefits, because this pandemic has hurt people unequally. So how can we make sure the recovery is equal in the sense that those with less can get more?
Indeed, yes, and I suppose in that theme too, I think I picked that up too from, you know, His Excellency Fahad Al-Gargawi, to really talking about how Dubai can act, I suppose, as the hub and as the stimulus to actually work with other countries in, you know, the Middle East and to grow a stronger, you know, not just industrial base, but to grow a stronger economic base in the MENA region. And also, I think I was touched too by the fact that he really talked about it's not just about business and it's not just about industry, but it's really about the hearts and minds of people. And I also found a little bit of a thread like that going through a lot of what we talked about today. You know, Aisha Khanna really talking about, you know, how tech can lead the future, and also, but how it will be, you know, human driven, how the talent is absolutely essential in that, without a doubt. And again, but which, you know, I think a warning cry out to every one of us, and I paid a little bit more heed myself, that we all have to be, you know, we cannot be innocent bystanders in terms of what's going on in tech. We really need to be looking out there and being active. You know, Kathleen Rogers, when she talked about what was going on in terms of the environment, all the great work that's happening, you know, with companies, but again, how things, she was a little, while she was cautiously optimistic, I thought she pulled back a little bit on, you know, perhaps talking about some of the destruction, sadly, that has been done in terms of just, you know, keeping up with life and times, you know, during the pandemic, that we might have unfortunately, you know, undone, so to speak, some of the good work that has been done. So that's a bit of catch up that has to be done there. And I just, I don't know if you had time to watch Satya Jaffrey while I talked to him. It's just, I mean, I was beyond inspired listening to him and, you know, what he talked about and just the great work that he's doing with his incredible piece of art. And I think the great work he's doing with, you know, NGOs, with organizations, you know, but as always, I think a really stellar lineup, and again, showing the diversity and the creativity that goes into planning ABLF Talks, really. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. I mean, you can tell from the spread of speakers we've had, not just in this month's ABLF, but on all the previous ones too, the caliber of the guests, their insights, the ability for them to take you across topics, across geographies, and to really tie those links in together. It's so fascinating. And I think just from what you've said, I mean, the tie-ins between sessions. So if you haven't watched the sessions, or to all the audience, do watch them back. You can watch them all on playback now, and the previous month's ones too, if you've missed out some of the brilliant speakers. But I mean, I think the lessons from the pandemic that have been shared too, I mean, Dr. Matu talked about how people have missed about a year of education. That's the impact that's been had on some of on the younger generation, which means actually we're not just talking about recovery this year, we're talking about lifelong impacts. And what was interesting is Alicia talked about the lifelong impacts we're going to feel from mental health. And you think especially about our healthcare workers, people who have lost loved ones, people who've had to watch people die that they've taken care of. That mental health impact is something that's going to stay with us long beyond the rollout of the vaccine program, and it's something we need to think about. And actually technology could help with that, you know, using AI to make sure we can tackle some of these physical and mental health issues, using data and tech to make sure that we can distribute food to those in need, or to help children who might not have access right now. That digital inclusivity line was kind of a golden thread throughout the sessions, which I thought was fascinating.
It was indeed, and I think I'm beginning to hear it in probably every discussion that we're having about anything right now when it comes to, you know, never mind just the online connectivity, but, you know, in every industry. It's I definitely heard tech recurring right throughout. Do you think we're probably going to see this as a very, very essential part of every discussion? I would say perhaps for the year ahead, and indeed probably for our lifetime, that that shift has been made, I think.
Oh, definitely. It's interesting because Alicia mentioned that there are 17 billion devices, Wi-Fi enabled or internet enabled devices in the world, which you think, that's incredible. I mean, of course, you look at the certain developed countries will have multiples per person, and we still have to think about internet access, inclusivity. She talked about the issues around literacy. So yes, you can have an app, but people have to be able to read. You have to think about languages, and you have to think about abilities, disabilities. Can people access that information? But what I thought was fascinating, again, from a totally different session that tied in, was then Aditya, Dr. Matu, talked about the fact that you can't roll this back. So we've used technology. You can't go, okay, the pandemic's done, let's roll it back and go back to doing everything the way we did before. So if we have this technology, how can we use that to be better and to do better? And I know that Zomato has tested out drone delivery. We could be seeing that with medication delivery in the future. So what is it we're doing, and how can we move forward in the way that's best for people across regions without it being an exclusive benefit for the well-off?
Really, I think you've actually, you know, summed it up perfectly there in terms of many of the discussions that we had throughout the day here. Really, really interesting, you know, information-led, exciting, a few new ideas, you know, a few disagreements here and there, a few words of warning, words of wisdom. All of that's what we can expect to find here on ABLF Talks. So, you know, always a delight to have you, Resham, and it's great to have time to actually chat with you too, and just look back on what it is. But as you say, yes, one thing vitally important for everybody at home is the fact that they can go back and watch all of these videos on demand, because hugely rich content there, and certainly, you know, worth going back on it. So thank you so much. Just a quick word, of course, to everybody out there. It's hashtag ABLF City. Lots to look back on, explore some of our partners, some tremendous sponsors out there who keep us on the air, you know, so we want everybody to become involved. And again, stay in touch with us, let us know what's on your mind, and let us know how we can move this forward, because we have a busy year planned. We're going to be back every month. So the more engagement we have early in advance with everybody, let's see the direction we'll take. And Resham, I hope I'll get to talk to you again very soon.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And of course, for everybody at home, our next day, of course, don't forget it, it is going to be February 9th. So it'll be Tuesday, February 9th for the next ABLF Talks. So in the meantime, have a look at all the demand session, go to the networking lounge, have a look, see who's maybe still there today, but stay engaged, stay connected, and stay with us on ABLF Talks. Thank you.